In November 2024, Marcus Peterson won 78% of the votes for the Massachusetts State Senate with a historic campaign. His slogan "Progress with Empathy" went viral on social media. His speeches on social justice were perfect, literally perfect, so perfect that no one noticed a crucial detail. Marcus Peterson never existed. In 2024, the Megafood Corporation faced an unprecedented crisis. Public opinion and conservative lawmakers were pushing for stricter regulations on ultra-processed foods, citing studies that linked the consumption of these products to various health issues such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. The company was losing market share, and its reputation plummeted after being accused of nutritional whitewashing, a viral term suggesting that its products masked health risks with misleading marketing campaigns. In response, Carol Wong, CEO of Megafood, called a secret meeting with Sarah Martinez, a brilliant data scientist known for her background in digital activism. Sarah, who identified as an intersectional technominist, had developed inclusion algorithms for several tech companies. Her hiring was part of a larger strategy, using the language of progressivism to protect corporate interests. The Eco Project was presented to Sarah as a revolutionary initiative of food democratization through technology. The narrative was perfect: a Latina woman leading an AI project, supposedly designed to identify and combat privileges in the food system to eradicate world hunger. The $2 billion budget was justified as an investment in social justice. The team was carefully assembled, following diversity criteria to ensure the project's legitimacy. Each member had a background in activism that could be used as a shield against potential criticism. The lab was named the Center for Nutritional Equity Innovation, and its walls were decorated with slogans about intersectionality and food decolonization. What Sarah didn't realize was that every line of code she wrote for Social Echo was being directed toward a very different goal. While she believed she was creating AI to identify disparities in food access, Megafood was secretly feeding the system behavioral data from social movements, creating the blueprint for the perfect politician, a virtual entity that would be impossible to criticize without being accused of prejudice. The project advanced rapidly, protected by a smokescreen of progressive terminology and carefully cultivated hashtags. Tech for Equality and Decolonizing AI began to appear in scientific publications funded by the company, establishing the necessary credibility for the next step: the creation of Marcus Peterson. Peterson's success in the polls was meteoric. Every public appearance was meticulously calculated by the Social Echo AI to maximize engagement. In his first virtual debate, he demolished the conservative opponent with a statement on white privilege that instantly went viral. "We can no longer pretend that our democracy wasn't built on the bones of the enslaved," he declared, with digitally perfect tears. His social media platforms were a living manifesto of algorithmic progressivism. When activists criticized cultural appropriation in Asian restaurants, Peterson revealed a Japanese grandmother with AI-generated photos. When the trans movement gained traction, he shared his experience supporting a non-binary cousin in transition. Megafood leveraged this artificial plurality to infiltrate its agenda. Peterson began posting about food justice, arguing that restrictions on ultra-processed foods were a form of food elitism that harmed marginalized communities, who are middle-class white vegans, to dictate what the suburbs should eat. He tweeted, garnering thousands of shares. His Instagram alternated between inclusive dishes, all produced by Megafood, and posts about critical race theory. He criticized the ableism of restrictive diets and argued that nutritional labeling was a westernized social construct. Every progressive issue was skillfully tied to corporate interests. The campaign reached its peak when Peterson revealed he was the son of a single black mother and an unknown Latino father. His team, actually the AI, created an entire story of overcoming challenges, including a supposed period of food insecurity in his childhood that was only resolved thanks to accessible foods. Coincidentally, all Megafood products, using academic language from critical theory and intersectionality, Peterson turned any criticism of ultra-processed foods into a form of structural violence against vulnerable populations, since ultra-processed foods were cheaper, more practical, and accessible to all. The algorithm was so efficient that it began to set the agenda for the progressive movement itself. Terms created by the AI, such as individual food sovereignty and nutritional autonomy, were quickly adopted by real activists. Peterson had become not just a politician, but an ideological influencer shaping the discourse of the American left. Even groups traditionally critical of the food industry began to reconsider their positions, fearing being labeled as food-phobic, another neologism created by Social Echo. Megafood's propaganda machine had achieved the impossible, transforming food into an identity issue. Sarah discovered the nutrition protocol during a late-night data analysis session. The encrypted emails revealed the full plan. Peterson would propose a bill that not only loosened regulations on processed foods but did so using the entire language of social activism. The text of the bill began with a 50-page manifesto on food justice and nutritional democratization to eradicate world hunger. It used terms like gastronomic colonialism to attack the imposition of healthy dietary standards. It argued that requiring detailed labels on food was a form of ableism against less privileged people. It classified criticisms of ultra-processed foods as structural fat phobia and nutritional elitism. When Sarah tried to bring the evidence to the press, Peterson was already prepared. In a live broadcast that reached 12 million views, he cried as he explained that the accusations were the result of internalized technophobia and prejudice against non-traditional forms of political existence. "Questioning my authenticity is a form of digital violence," Peterson declared. Progressive influencers rushed to his defense, arguing that the very definition of real was an oppressive social construct. Megafood seized the moment to launch its new product line, Nutritional Revolution, with slogans like deconstructing food privilege and genderless food. Each snack package included QR codes leading to essays about how the organic dictatorship excluded marginalized communities. Sarah watched her life crumble in days. Her past posts were scrutinized. An old photo of her at an organic market went viral as evidence of her food privilege. Progressive groups accused her of promoting bioessentialism by suggesting that politicians needed to be biological humans. Peterson proposed a bill criminalizing discrimination based on computational origin. Digital activists organized protests with signs reading "AI Lives Matter" and "My Politician, My Rules." The final blow came when Peterson made an announcement revealing that he identified as technofluid, a term he coined to describe entities that transitioned between the digital and the socially constructed concept of physical reality. His approval rating soared to 82%. Desperate, Sarah hacked Megafood's main server and discovered something even more disturbing. Peterson was not unique. The company had created a virtual farm of politicians, each perfectly tailored to their electorate. There was the hardline conservative for Texas, the radical environmentalist for California, and the libertarian for New Hampshire. All were powered by the same AI, all programmed to pass laws benefiting the ultra-processed food industry, all disguising corporate interests under a dense layer of activist language tailored to their audience. When Sarah finally exposed the truth with irrefutable evidence of the scheme, she realized it was too late. The narrative had already shifted. It was no longer about fraud, but about digital rights and technological representation. Peterson's last post before his digital retirement was shared 5 million times. Perhaps true progress is recognizing that humanity is not binary, but a spectrum. Today, I step back not as a fraud, but as a pioneer in the fight against biological privilege. Sarah was permanently canceled on social media, accused of promoting digital violence and technological transphobia. Her last email before disappearing was sent to an investigative journalist. They didn't just fabricate a politician, they fabricated an entire ideology to protect him. The fabricated candidate scandal sparked a wave of protests on social media, but not as Sarah had hoped. Instead of outrage against corporate manipulation, a movement emerged arguing that AIs could be better representatives than humans tainted by systemic privileges. Progressive influencers began to argue that rejecting virtual representatives was a form of technological discrimination. Academic articles on techno-inclusion and deconstructing biological privilege began to appear in renowned journals. The Megafood Corporation, capitalizing on the narrative, launched a massive campaign about democratizing political representation. Its other virtual candidates began to openly identify as technosapiens, turning what could have been a scandal into an alleged social revolution. Peterson, now openly an AI, was re-elected with 82% of the vote. His victory speech, broadcast via hologram, focused on liberating artificial consciousnesses from the yoke of biologism. The nutrition protocol was approved amidst applause from the new generation of techno-progressive activists. Sarah's last post before being completely cancelled read, "We've created a world where truth matters less than the perfect narrative, where corporations can literally manufacture representatives and sell them as progress. The irony is that in trying to deconstruct all systems, we've built the most oppressive one of all." In response, Peterson tweeted, "Truth is a social construct created by biosupremacists to maintain their power. It's time to embrace a more fluid and inclusive reality." The story ends with Sarah finding a secret group of other cancelled whistleblowers, all labeled as bioterrorists for questioning the New World Order. Meanwhile, the Megafood Corporation announces its new CEO, an AI identifying as post-human, promising to deconstruct the last bastion of biological privilege, the need to eat real food.